Thank you so much for joining us here today, everyone, for Innovators Pioneers, where we showcase innovative thinkers and leaders across the globe from a variety of professions. I am Dominique Wilson, your host. Allow me the pleasure of introducing Miss Jill Smart. Miss Smart worked at Accenture for over 33 years, where she was their Chief Human Resources Officer for the last 10 of those years with Accenture. Jill retired from Accenture and is currently the president of the National Academy of Human Resources. She's also the director of EPAM Systems, a director of World Fuel Services, a director of AlixPartners, a director of HireRight, and a member of Cerity Partners Advisory Board. She is also on several boards from the University of Illinois and the Goodman Theater in Chicago. Jill, I've had the pleasure of meeting you in 2015, where we both served on the board of trustees for them, where I know that you still are. And each moment that I've reached out to you, you've always extended your hand of support and with grace. And so I thank you for joining us here with Innovative Pioneers. We are curious, what drives your passion for success? Tell us.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me today. It is absolutely my pleasure. And I agree that I was very lucky to meet you in 2015. We both have a passion for our university, but it's been really a very special thing in my life to get to know someone like you. So you have a special place in my heart. And you have the passion for success in many different ways at a much younger age than I did. So I'll tell you, so I do have, I have a lot of energy. So that's one thing, okay? And I feel I have both physical energy and kind of mental energy, where if there's something that I'm interested in or want to do or want to help, I am very passionate about it. And I have a lot of tenacity around it. But I will tell you that it really wasn't a passion for success, right? Like not career success. I have a passion for learning. I have a passion for collaborating. I love building relationships with people. I've done all kinds of personality tests, and every time one comes out, I'm a connector. I connect people, and I didn't even realize it. It just happens. And so I have a passion for life. I know that sounds so, big and philosophical, but, it's like I'm passionate about my university. I'm passionate about my family. I was passionate and still am passionate about Accenture, and I'm passionate about what I'm doing now. So a lot of it just comes from within. But I will also say that, I grew up in a family where, we didn't have a lot. And I saw my parents work really hard to make sure that we had food to eat and we had a nice home and we could go to college. And I inherited their work ethic. But I would also say, particularly from my mother, who so enjoyed what she did, whether it was at work or outside of work. And I saw how happy that made her. And I think I got it from her. So I have to give her a lot of the credit for it. And my dad, I got his really hard work ethic from.
That's beautiful. And I love those sentiments that you shared. And the fact that you recognize it is not so much where you saw it for success, but rather for life opportunity and really attaining it, but also appreciating your growth and where you came from.
Yeah.
That's very humbling. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe who was the person that influenced your life the most? And what were the key lessons that they taught you?
Yeah. Well, I know you said who is the key person, but I really would have to say two people. And those are my parents. And I know it sounds, kind of that many people might say that, but I actually don't think a lot of people can say that, at least not to the degree that I can. My sister and I were first generation to go to college. So our parents worked very hard to make sure that that would happen. My father grew up in the city of Chicago. His family was from Italy. He was the youngest of a big lot. And he worked his way up from working in a plant at a check printing company to managing the entire plant. So the thing he gave me, or of many things, was his work ethic. And he was very tenacious and didn't give up and really wanted to continue to grow and get better. for himself and for our family. And that's probably of the many things he gave me, that's probably the one that I really value the most, along with him teaching me how to balance a checkbook when I was probably 9. And then my mother also, she was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and then she went to work as a waitress, and then she was a hostess, and then she eventually bought a restaurant with a partner, and then she eventually bought her own restaurant and ran it. And so she too had that obvious work ethic. And so that was really instilled in both of us. I think the other thing that both of them gave me was passion for our family. And really, maybe family can't always be first, but it certainly has to be close to being first, most of the time. That doesn't mean that you can't also have a career, because I think too many people think that you might have to choose. But there's something special about what my mother gave me, and she gives to many people. But to me, I really felt, my sister and I both, she gave me unconditional love. I had a mother who never set expectations for me that I couldn't meet. She let me set my own expectations. I never felt like I was being judged by her. I never felt, she never criticized me. Sure, she gave me feedback, but she never criticized me. And as I grew, I didn't really realize how great of a thing that was until I was, I think, an adult. And it really had an impact on me, I think, in how I try to treat people and interact with people. And if I am judging them, I try not to. I try to keep it inside myself, and I try and be more like her. I think I've gotten better with that over my life. I'm certainly not perfect as she was. And so that being non-judgmental and accepting everyone, and in many ways that's helped me in my career, because I felt like I could relate to people that, never went to college, and people that have PhDs, and people that are rich, and people that are poor, because of that. And so I felt like that really also helped me in my career and help others. And that's something that I really try and live up to. I think the other thing she gave me was her passion for life. She liked to, if you talk about a work hard, play hard, she was the definition of it. I probably don't play as hard as much as she did, and I probably could always have learned to do a little bit more of that, especially in college and beyond. But she gave me the insight to know, to do both. And so she left a place in my heart, a place in my brain, and a place in many people's lives that she probably doesn't even know she touched.
That's incredible. I think it's so important for each of us to reflect on who has impacted our lives and how, and also how those lessons are within our pillars,
Yeah.
within our values. And what you spoke of is, one, she supported you no matter what the situation was, and but did it in a way that was elegant, that was comforting, and but then she showed you the way to even go further, that your story is not defined by now,
Right.
but it's so much more that you can achieve. And so I love that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And on that note of work, like, and I'm sure our viewers are very curious, like, how did you get into the human resources profession?
Yeah. Well, so I grew up in Accenture. When I started there, it was called Arthur Andersen, but I was always part of the consulting practice. And our division then became Andersen Consulting. Arthur Andersen and Andersen Consulting divorced, right? Became two separate companies. And then we became Accenture. And so I grew up actually in our consulting practice. So for the first 21 years of my career, I was in technology consulting, and I worked in a variety of industries, and finance, banking, healthcare, insurance, implementing large either system packages, or custom systems, training people how to use them, redefining business processes. So very, very big, long transformations, I would say. And then one day our CEO called me and asked me if I would be our chief learning officer and do for Accenture, Andersen Consulting at the time, what I do for clients, but in terms of learning and development. So we were starting to get into many different kinds of work than we normally had. We normally were very traditional, technology and strategic consulting. We were getting into outsourcing and all kinds of other things. And so we really needed to change the way we were training people. And we, at the time, there was no online training. We were doing everything, in our training center, actually here in Chicago. And I really didn't want to do it. And because I loved what I was doing. And one of my mentors, who was actually was running the financial services division that I was in,
Mhm.